It's called New Colonel in Town, and it's 7 tracks. And I produced about 3 out of 7. A shout out to my brother Dead Heat, Doom the Wiz, and O'Keefe, and they handled the other half. But this is a solo EP that I handled. I mixed and mastered it myself, and it's on YouTube, Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music, pretty much almost all the platforms that
All
you can find.
DSPs.
Yeah, all digital platforms.
And like we were talking on our way down on our drive, you said you had a kind of a rollout plan with your EPs. Like you have a lot of EPs coming out this year.
Yeah, I do. I got this one dropped. I got this one that I just dropped, and then my initial game plan for the year is to drop at least an EP every other 2 months or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just keep flooding them in. That's not my usual style,
Uh-huh.
and I've actually had a couple years that where it was a big hiatus as far as like releasing music on my end. So I just want to give the close supporters that are still rocking with me like just new ammo, new music, and I build a vault. That's how I am. That's how
Yeah, I remember we had talked last year, and you said you have enough to
yeah.
drop for an eternity. Almost.
Yeah, I got a whole big vault of projects, EPs, beat projects, and just that the LPs are a little more, I would say, bigger. I plan those are I plan those. I'm tongue tied right now, but the LPs require more attention on my end. Like it takes me more time to plan it out, more so the EPs.
Yeah, because the EP 4 or 5 tracks, and you can produce, engineer, and rap on 4 tracks, and maybe get a feature and it go bam. But with an LP, how many tracks do you think is an appropriate approach? Maybe this is a good question, or advice you could give to artists. Do you think artists, when they make an LP, do they need to make like 24 to 30 tracks, or 12 to 15 is okay?
So for a single LP, I would personally go for around like 12 to maybe 15.
Yeah.
And but I know everybody's different. I think Born Sinner J. Cole is like 22 or 23 songs. So, and I like those albums too. I only like lengthy albums if like the beats are rocking, I'm into it, or the feeling is nice, and like I can cruise through this album. If it's like lengthy or 22 tracks or so. But I personally recommend like around 12 to 15.
Yeah.
And I have played with the ideas of releasing some that are like 20 songs or so, but I'd say the most maybe around like 22.
22.
Yeah, the most. Maybe.
Like if you see an album though that's like 30 to 40 tracks, they are out there, do you even entertain it?
I mean, it would take me a while to get through it, because to me 30 to 40 tracks is about like maybe 3 or 4 albums or so.
Yeah.
So like it would take me like, I would break them into halves. I mean, like I'm gonna listen to first half, second half, third, fourth.
Yeah, it's not like you're gonna go to the grocery store and pop in that tape and listen to 40 tracks on the way to the grocery store.
Right.
Unless your grocery store's on the top of the Himalaya mountains, right? But when you did your LPs, I know you did the one with Marco Polo, right?
Yeah. Shout out Marco.
Those some of the hardest tracks. I personally have heard from you, but is there any intention of a second collaboration album with him?
I actually reached out to him recently in the past year, and I'm like, yo, I'm down to do 2, and he's down also.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna figure out a good time to release it, and we're gonna go for part 2.
Ooh,
So
you heard it here
it
on
is,
LA Lifestyle.
It is in the air for sure.
Okay, for sure. Because I was always wondering, and then that album cover is so legendary. It's his cat's face is on your head, and your head's on his cat's body.
It's like a ridiculous cover, but I love it because
What's the story behind that cover?
a random Facebook fan commented. He photoshopped I originally, it was just a regular photo, me with the cat, and then this psychopath photoshopped the head and the cat and switched it, and I'm like, this is so dumb, but I love it for some reason. Like it just hits the right goofy notes. And I hit Marco. I'm like, yo, cover, what do you think? He was like, yup, that's it. So
that was his cat?
Yeah, that's his cat. Yeah, but there was no fight. He was like, yep, I'm down. I was like, oh shit. I was like, all right, that's it.
And how at that time, what did you guys link up? Because he's over on the East Coast, right? Isn't he
he's in Brooklyn.
Yeah, he's from New York. Yeah. So what in that time? How long did that project take to? Did you guys cook that up like in a week? Was it like you went out for a month? Was it back and forth?
It took about maybe a year or a little bit of less, but at first I was tackling the project like over email at first, like the first two songs or so, and then we finished the project. I would go over to. I was in New York for a good amount of time too, just hanging out there like around like when things started to take off for me. I would just hang out in New York, and Marco was there, and I had to climb up like 5 flights of stairs pretty much every visit, and we'd get right to work. Like
Right.
I'd go to the fifth floor, and I'd hear the music just bumping, and I'm like, I know that's Marco. I could tell because the beat's fire. I could tell the beat's crazy.
And how long and how did you and Marco get tapped in with each other? Was that just like another thing from you doing like the Queen Latifah and Jimmy Fallon and being out there and like you getting introduced to everyone?
That was we connected through RA, and but the we just I had Marco on a list of like my producers I wanted to work with. I
Yeah.
was already a fan of Marco, and yeah, RA was like, "Yo, that's my guy. That's no problem. I'll connect you to," and it just it felt so natural. I honestly can't remember what was the first thing that sparked us to be like, let's make the EP, because it happened so fast. But it was like it was great. It was like literally he was like, I'm down, and we just connected.
Yeah, and just made it happen. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's great to hear because those are like those stories are you know what fuel like the art. You know, like because you're all the way over here in L.A. and he's in New York and all that. So it's just like it's just crazy how things work out. And did you ever think things were gonna move that quick for you at that such young of an age?
Not at all, because
Yeah.
it happened lightning speed fast.
Yeah, and you were
You know.
probably flying a lot too back
Yeah,
then.
yeah, it was a lot of flying. Oh, we were doing planes like almost every other week, every other 2 weeks for a pretty consistent amount of time for like maybe 2, 3, 4 years straight.
Yeah, just
Like
flying.
just
Always
like
at an airport.
planes every other 2 weeks, if not every month.
Did
or every
things
other
slow
month.
down around COVID for you?
Yes, absolutely. But I don't complain as much because almost everybody, or everybody, the people that I love too, or MCs or filmmakers that I know, they're like, "Yup, we got effed like right through COVID." So
Yeah.
I personally, I'm like, hey, I took a lot of L's during that time, but so did almost everybody. So
Yeah.
everybody except the high power, those
Right.
guys.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah.
Illuminati. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
those guys.
And we'll dive in here. We got a handful of minutes here before we sign off. I wanted to ask you what's a bar or a line that is overused in hip hop that people need to stop using?
Mm, that's a good question. Dang, I'm pretty stumped.
Like maybe like a celebrity or like just like a pretty like basic bar or something that people use.
I don't know. Gift. I don't know. I've heard of gift flip like a spatula a couple times,
Yeah.
or like something. I don't know. I honestly can't. I can't think of. That's a great question though.
Yeah.
But that one stumped me a bit. But yeah,
Oh, it's
that is a great question.
I mean, hey, it's a good hip hop question, but then even further, do you think hip hop right now, independent and underground hip hop, is making a stronger comeback right now, and more artists are moving away from a mainstream label than ever before?
I It's a little tough for me now that, like, before I felt like I had a better answer, but now since I personally feel, well, I feel like there is a good amount of like self creativity where like people can depend on themselves more often, like with as far as like the social media of what they want for them to take off, or let's say MC does a podcast or something like that. Like if it takes off for them, that's that's awesome. But I always feel I felt recently like the algorithms just effing everything up, just messing everything up, and it's a little harder for independent creators now, more so than it was like 2, 3, 4 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, recently, if you're independent and creating, it's a little tougher for your stuff to get out there.
Unless you're not putting a little bit of money
Yeah.
into it, and you
Yeah, or extra, yeah, exactly, and yeah, so it's like I don't know if I have a direct answer for that one, but I do feel like that.
it
As
could go
far-
both ways.
Yeah, and as far as like the big guys, I do feel like they're still okay.
Yeah.
They're, like as far as the labels though, I do feel like there's not as much interest. Like people are more interested in just going independent nowadays, and just I don't want a chance of a shady 360 deal or anything like that. So.
Yeah, Laura. I remember the greatest story I've heard was Trinidad James said he got charged like $40,000 or something for like wardrobe, and like Ti was wearing his own brand, and like I think it was Kanye was wearing his own stuff or something like that, and like got charged for them wearing their own brand. Like,
That's crazy.
yeah, right. And have you? Definitely.
Yeah.
But moral of it is music is a great thing too. And do you see yourself doing anything else other than music? Like, do you have any other aspirations?
Yeah. I mean, I really want to make movies. Ever since I
and
was
we'll,
young,
we'll
I've been.
talk about that too.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
were showing me some scripts you've been writing. What goes in writing a script?
To me, just this is just from my personal feeling. It's not too complicated. I think the complicated part that I haven't reached yet is eventually shopping it. But as far as writing it and just the basics is literally your which it comes from your mind, your creativity. You're like, okay, I'm gonna think of the scene or these characters, or me. I write an outline. Personally, I write like a game plan of what I feel like the movie, what I want it to be. I start building the characters. I'll even write out a couple scenes, and then I'll translate it directly to the screenplay and break it out with the dialogue included and more meat around the surface with that.
And are you all self-taught as well? Have you taken any scripture classes or anything like that?
I am admittedly self-taught, but I read. It's pretty much like I compare studying my favorite MCs too. Like I also studied my favorite writers like Tarantino or Scorsese or a Frank Darabont or those guys, and these were movies that I loved since I was young. And I would get their scripts. I would like just grab them off of Amazon or wherever they were floating around, and would just read them, study them like daily, and their formats and how they lay out their scripts and like how they're piecing them together. I just directly like, and I wouldn't even say stole because that I feel like a lot of the greats have been influenced by the other greats before them.
Yeah, well, they
You know,
laid down a foundation, just like
right,
anything with like music that you and I may make or anything
right,
like that. There's pioneers, like
right.
how NWA did
It's
stuff for music.
it's like a cool helping hand because you're like, yo, these are the greats. These are some of the best movies of all time. I'm just gonna study their script. I'm not gonna. The only thing, if I'm borrowing anything, is just the format of how they're piecing their script together. Like, okay, the interior, the exterior. These were stuff that I didn't know before I was writing it,
Yeah.
and then it just started piecing together.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you have like a what's your biggest goal with that? Do you, like you said, it's a different approach, but are you going to make an attempt to try and pitch one of your shows? Like
Oh
obviously,
yeah.
like
Oh
do you,
yeah.
and what do you write? Are you writing shows and series? Are you writing movies? Are you writing short films? Like what?
All types.
All
All
types.
types. I have short films. I got feature films. I have some series in mind, and I have a good amount completed. And I have some. I'm very OCD, so my organization could be really crazy.
Uh-huh.
But I got them all. Like I got short films, feature films, and I have all the genres all separated, and they're all.
So what
they're
are
all
some
in
of
the
the
vault.
genres you are writing and touching on?
My favorite personally is horror, but I also love drama. I love action. I love action thrillers. Um, but also I like mysteries too. I like whodunits and who's the killer? Like I love that stuff too.
Get out the
So
room! No.
yeah, I love that stuff too.
Did you watch the movie Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
Yeah, yeah,
I remember that book, man. I remember we used to fight over that in the library.
yeah. The book was horrifying.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I remember as a kid, the books, the images and the illustration was super creepy. I
and
was like,
super crazy too.
yeah, yeah, like the grotesque woman, the pale lady. The pale lady was like the most terrifying thing ever. When I was it was they were creepy books.
Yeah, they were definitely good ones. And
I like the movie too.
how
Like,
what do you think overall about how well they did? Like,
I think they could have did personally a little. They could have pushed the creepy factor a little bit more in the movie, but I still liked it. I liked it more than I thought I was going to. I was like, okay, I think I wasn't rooting for it as much, and then when I saw it in theater, I was like, I actually liked it, so I enjoyed it.
yeah, definitely. And with that movie too, do you think like there are certain are there more maybe novels that need to be turned into movies, like scary horror books or anything like that aren't movies yet?
Oh, not that I could think of, but I'm more than 100% sure. Yeah, they're always gonna find new material because that's what they're looking for. They're either
Yeah.
like they're just looking for they look for original scripts, but oftentimes they are looking for something to adapt, like
Yeah.
adapt from a book to the screen too.
And in your mind too, I know they're bringing back a lot of movies and they're remaking a lot of movies. What movies do Hollywood they just need to leave alone?
Oh man, they're remaking planes, trains, and automobiles. I'm heartbroken over it. As much as I like Will Smith as an actor, I don't want to see Will Smith and Kevin Hart in a planes, trains, and automobiles remake. I don't. Like the movie's perfect as it is. It's a 10 out of 10 for Fro. It's an amazing film from John Candy and Steve Martin, and they're gonna remake it. I'm oh come on guys. Like they tried remaking it already with Due Date with Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis. And I kind of like that movie. I don't hate. I actually, there's some things I actually laugh about it, but that's they're directly remaking planes, trains, and automobiles. I was like, nah, come, you know. So
Is is
that
there,
one I'm heartbroken
is
over.
there any other ones that you know?
Off the top of my head,
They don't even got to be being made right now. Like just movies that are already like that they don't even need to consider remaking.
I know there's off the top of my head. I'm blanking out a little bit, but there's like a remake every year, and I know there was one recently. I surf on IMDb a lot for like forever, and yeah, I can't think. I'm blanking out on the second one.
Oh no, you're all good, man. I mean, it's. I think I would say like I feel like the new Indiana Jones movie.
Oh, did you like it?
I liked it. It was
Okay,
great. I liked
okay.
it, but I felt like I don't know. I don't think they should have did it. I think
Yeah,
I think five was pushing it.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. Like I'm a big Harrison Ford
Oh, I
fan.
love Harrison
Like
Ford.
he's the man. He's
Yeah.
an incredible actor.
They used a
But
lot of good CGI
yeah,
in the new one
yeah,
when they made him look like young Harrison Ford. That was
yeah.
pretty crazy.
I wasn't a big fan of Homegirl, the Phoebe Waller Bridge chick, the one that's with his sidekick.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan of her. I didn't like her. I
yeah,
thought she was the weakest part of the movie. And then, but it was still. I agree. I feel like they could have left that one alone.
yeah. Like
And yeah,
the number. Let's see, number four was 2008. It was the Raiders of the Lost Ark
Kingdom of Crystal Skull. Yeah,
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
yeah.
And I felt like that was almost like a good sign off for him in that
Yeah,
series.
and I
'Cause
like, and people don't like, a lot of people don't like that one, but I do. I actually have fun with that one.
well, what I remember too is that's when you would go to the movie theater, and that's when like surround sound and like things were really starting to get crazy in theaters, like 2007, 2008. So that was the first time I went to a movie theater with my dad, and the theater like was shaking. It was like. It was just really cool because it was felt like that interaction with the movie, like when the rocks would rumble and crumble down, like the whole theater was just like, is it an earthquake or it's like, nah, it's just that experience.
With the right movie, that stuff is awesome. With
Yeah.
the right movie, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
were you ever a fan of any of the Wild Boys or any of like the Jackass guys or anything in their movies?
Yeah, yeah. I rock with Johnny Knoxville and Steve O, and like I just recently watched their Jackass Forever one in theaters not that long ago, like a couple years ago.
That one I think was the funniest.
That one, it surprised me. It surprised me because it was pretty brutal. I mean, they're brutal,
But
but that one was crazy. I was like, whoa, this is like, oof.
like
this is-
you should have did this 20 years
yeah,
ago.
They're going all out. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember though. Funny story is I took my my wife out to the Cheesecake Factory for dinner there over at the Cerritos Town Center, and then we went to Harkins and we watched that movie on Valentine's Day. So she was like, if you know, take me out, I'll let you pick the movie. So that's what I picked. Fro, I laughed so hard that I ripped the chair out of the ground. The movie
Oh
chair.
wow, that's great.
So I was in the front and I was laughing so hard I kept falling out of it and I was rocking back and forth that I popped the bolts out of the ground. And so when I went and I leaned forward, I took the whole chair with me and it landed on top of me.
That you did some Hulk stuff right there.
It was that's why I'm saying I'll always remember it, but I couldn't stop laughing. Like my stomach hurt. I didn't even like eat my snacks or anything. I was just laughing the whole time. And I think that right there, I think they should just end it right there too. But then they've even said like they're bringing in some new talent to like keep the name going, but it's like you're never gonna have your Steve-O, swallowing a goldfish and spitting it back up. Would you do any crazy stuff like that, like any crazy stunt movies or anything, or would you have a stunt double? Would you do your own stunts?
I would. The only ones I would love to do fighting stunts, like action choreography. I would love to do that, or like fight choreography. But the only ones where I'm like, okay, stuntman, take it away, is like those ones jumping off cliffs or like jumping, like anything jumping off.
No
anything.
Mission Impossible.
I'm not. No, I can't do anything like that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, okay, Tom Cruise, you crazy? Like that's dope. I can't believe you're doing that stuff. Like
on a motorcycle,
just hanging off airplanes and stuff. I'm like, I could never do that. Like,
go take your
crazy.
Go take your Scientology elsewhere, Tom Cruise.
Yeah. So,
Before we sign out, though, we're gonna do 2 top 5 questions here. We're gonna do movie actors, actresses, and we'll do hip hop artists. So we'll start off with who are your top 5 actors or actresses in the film industry?
Denzel, Gary Oldman, Gene Hackman, Jim Varney, Robin Williams. I could go on, but
give us 10.
Yeah, Sam Jackson.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, he's there. He's up there for me. I love Morgan, so he's up there. Clint Eastwood, he's up there for me.
Steve McQueen.
But yeah, he's the man. Bullet. I love Steve McQueen. But one that people would be like, word, bro, John Candy. I think like.
What is it about John Candy specifically?
Oh man, I think he was severely underrated. Like I think he was he was very well loved, and he still is to this day. But as far as his dramatic side and how he can like just go for the emotions in some of his movies, like surprisingly he was incredible at that. And I think he can make you laugh, but he can also gut punch you too. And I think that was pretty overlooked, how he could gut punch you.
Yeah.
And it was and you could tell a lot of the people that were around him, they were like, yeah, that like he wasn't a faker, that he would put his real heart into his roles. So
what do you think about Jim Carrey?
I love Jim Carrey. He's the man. Yeah. I think he's one of the better actors ever, because that body acting, that physical acting, where he's just all over the screen, like that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
And especially coming from a big guy, that's not easy. Like only like Chris Farley, a big guy like that, could do that. But Jim Carrey is like one of the masters, like especially at that style, And he's a great dramatic actor too. I think he's underrated in that department.
Yeah, and so we'll leave it there. That was a great list, though. I mean,
and then my bad, actresses, I don't have a top 5, but just ones that I love, like Viola Davis. I love Carol Burnett. I think she was an underrated actor. She was very well respected, but like her dramatic side was really good too. And now I'm blanking. Now we could segue.
So let's do a top 5 hip hop artists or MCs for you.
Man, okay, this one.
But we're gonna keep it at 5 though, so really pick that core 5.
Okay. So Sean Price, MF Doom, Pharoah Monch, Rakim, Cool G Rap. That's 5?
That's 5.
Okay.
Yeah, and those are all East Coast, or some are East Coast?
I think, let's see, I just said Sean Price, East Coast, MF Doom, England, but technically New York, 3. Yeah, they're East Coast.
So you got a big East Coast boom bap inspiration.
Definitely.
And do you, is that your main, what would you say your main genre of hip hop is? Is it just hip hop, or what is your, like, subgenre?
I would say overall just hip hop, because I love it all. I love Southern, I love New York, I love West Coast. I love it I love all style.
And before we sign out here, Fro, in our last couple minutes on air, if you just want to go ahead and drop your social media handles.
No doubt.
And where everybody can find you.
Yeah, on Instagram, I'm All Flows Official. On Facebook, I'm All Flows Reach Out. And on YouTube, I'm Afro with the Dashes. And Afro with the Dashes, you can find my music that way on the Spotify's and all that, and Apple Music, etc. And reach out and I'll hit you right back.
Definitely, guys, and it's been an honor. Like I said, we took a couple of little week break. We had Valentine's Day, we had the Super Bowl. It was a good time to recharge and stuff. We're coming into spring. We're really close. We got about another month. We got some announcements coming out soon with our other show coming on air here pretty soon, with Mercutio hosting that. and whatnot. But guys, it's really good to be back here in the saddle again. Just like Aerosmith, I'm back in the saddle again.
That's right. That's right.
Ooh, I might. You know what? I think that's what we're gonna ride out tonight. We're gonna put some Aerosmith on over on the music before we ride out here. But guys, just a reminder, we're on KQBH LP in Los Angeles, California, on 101.5 FM, a community service of Boyle Heights Arts Conservatory, broadcasting live on your FM dial and streaming on lpfm.la. And it's a good time of year. Love is in the air. The Super Bowl just happened. Now there's no more football, so I don't know what I'm going to do with myself on Sunday. No, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be here with you every Sunday night at 6 p.m. Guys, we're going to sign out here. I'm going to leave you with a little Aerosmith. This is Back in the Saddle because PvP's back. I'm out here with my man Fro. Thank you for coming out, my guy.
No problem. Thank you for having me, bro. Thank you for having me.
But yeah, and make sure, guys, too, you go subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the recap of this and all our other great episodes with all our great...